Hi, I'm Bloodfish. Okay, so, hear me out. A minecart decoder transport system. That might not sound very intuitive at first, but I'll go through it very quickly. Anyways, I actually caught this idea the day after I posted my last video. My bad, gang. So we're both on the same page. How do I expect this to work? In short, a minecart chest with an item gets detected by the system, redirecting itself and the player minecart following behind. The sequence starts with a ticket sorted by the system, showing your destination using redstone lamps. This grants access to the entrance gate, where any invalid ticket will lock the gate and be returned to the player. Finally, minecarts in parallel are sent off with delay, leading to various Y intersections going to its respective destinations. Let's start, shall we? I do have an idea on what circuits I want to make for this build, but you can see that right now there are like three smaller separate proofs of concepts that I will need to combine later on. The first thing I made was this entrance gate, where if you want to enter, you'll need a ticket, but to exit you don't need one. This mechanism is made by using an AND gate and OR gate. So imagine there's no ticket right now in the system, the redstone lamps are off. If you try to step on this pressure plate, nothing happens. It's only if you have a valid ticket, which then will get sorted by the system and end up in one of these hoppers. If it's invalid, it just goes through and doesn't interact with anything. So once there's an item in this will deactivate this redstone torch, meaning that if I activate this pressure plate again, now the AND gate activates and so that this trapdoor opens up for us to go through. Right now, these two pressure plates are connected to this trapdoor using an OR gate. This means that if I activate any one of these pressure plates, this trapdoor will open. Like that. The difference is that this pressure plate going out is not locked by this ticket validation system, meaning if I were to remove this ticket, I can still go out, but I can't go in again, because there's no ticket in the system. Next, you have the station platform responsible for both the launch and return of these minecarts. One thing I realized really quickly on is that you can't use a cactus to break these minecarts, especially the chest minecart, because it breaks into both a chest and a minecart. You have to leave them intact. And number two, there will be a hopper above this minecart chest to input the ticket and also refund the ticket out. So how does this system work? It relies on this detector rail, which you can see will power this intersection rail over here. So if I launch it, this chest minecart will go through and activate this, which will flip this to allow the player minecart to go through and follow behind. Just like this. It gets flipped. So now the chest minecart is always in front. If I want to return, same thing goes. This chest minecart goes first, and then it activates this rail and then flips this, and the player minecart can also go back and gets diverged back into its original spot. Just like this. Very simple. It resets the system, and that's how the system works. This is the terminal that processes your tickets and also shows your destination. I'm actually quite proud of this starting item elevator. So this trap chest prevents items from going through, but after you deposit your item, it automatically activates the dropper elevator using a falling edge monostable. So there's a torch here and monostable over here. Nothing happens, but only if I close the chest. That's when this entire thing activates and now the item goes through. So the item either gets sorted by these hoppers, or is refunded with the redstone lamp over here. As you can see, I put in sandstone, it's invalid, so it gets refunded. The back of the system is a resetting T flip-flop with lamp indicators. So when the item is accepted by this item sorter over here, it will send a pulse to reset all the lamps, and then activate the respective lamp. So we'll test that out. We have the coral quarry, this is a location that I've named, and this will be sorted on the right hand side. You can see the left hand lamp is on right now. This will go to the other side once I put this item inside. So like that, and then send it through. The lamps are reset, and then the right hand lamp has been switched on. So after a successful minecart activation or a ticket refund, this will also reset the indicator lamps. There were some issues with the dropper not ejecting or requiring a 2-tick pulse. I don't know why that happened, but I suspect it's a powering issue, but that's been fixed now, so it's great. Although I do think it's better if this circuit was folded in half actually, because this is quite long right now. As it turns out, the timing for this circuit is very exact. If these repeaters are any longer, the droppers don't fire and I have no idea why. The circuit works now, so just to test it out, if we just put this here, you can see that the lamp will switch from this one over to this one. Nice. It's also been compacted from this length down to here. It's also tileable as well. You can see that there's two side by side, although it is also one block further out than I would like it to be. I'll fix that later. I guess the next logical step for this build is to try and combine all the circuits I've made so far into one coherent build. And that's why over here I've started to make a design template for that reason. I do have a block palette over here, and in particular I want to use brick because it's typically associated with the industrial, think railways or factories. But I also want to go for a more modern approach. You can see the quartz behind. Imagine like an airport flight information billboard with a line of redstone lamps going across, which show your destination. But at this moment it doesn't really work very well because, well, the quartz doesn't really merge well with the brick, and to me the brick looks kind of saturated, so this might need some more testing. I'd like to mention that I'm going for a jelly-esque shape, you know, like the food. So think of like a rounded top. You maybe have like 2 layers of rounded arches, possibly a rim around the entire thing. I can't really tell you why this is my inspiration. Maybe I'm just hungry. I think I've solved it. So the solution to the awkward merging between the quartz and the bricks, I've added in this small wooden stair rim that also connects up to the structural parts of the system. It makes more structural sense, but it also divides the build into 2 very distinct styles, so it's easier on the eyes, it's cleaner, I guess. The lower floor has more detail, more greenery, so I think more clutter, so it makes that the bricks aren't as obvious, it's less saturated, and the villagers are receptionists. The chests are behind here. You have a refund counter and a ticket counter over here. The second floor is more geometric. You have quartz, a bit of depth, and a small arch to mirror the arch below. I would say it's minimal, so it does fit the airport billboard aesthetic. I'm satisfied. Let's start adding circuits. I've realized, while building the circuits, that this hopper is 1 block too low. It interferes with the tunnel. I should have done more planning. You know, maybe I should have checked before building this entire system, because right now this piece of redstone dust has a signal strength of 1. It doesn't reach far enough for it to have any use at all. I should have a repeater between here so it extends the signal strength, but like, alas, there is none. A small progress update. As a continuation of this wooden tunnel, I've made the station platform in front, complete with amenities, including the station seat and also a lamp. We have the railway for the minecart chest to our left, you can see it's sealed off, and also the railway for the player minecart over here, where we'll just like go like that. Next, I'll make the refund system and also the minecart loading system over here. By the way, the refund circuit is literally just a redstone torch. I'll place an item inside, it gets loaded into the minecart chest, like this, and then just press this button and it goes down into the hopper because it's been unlocked. A small disclaimer, the timing for this rail diverging circuit over here is situational. It depends on how far your minecarts are spread out, or how fast they are, and may need to be adjusted. In my case, for this build, the timings are different from the example I've used over there, so just do be aware of that. And with that, the terminal is complete. I just connected the relevant hopper systems over here, plus the resetting circuit over here. The showcase will be at the very end. Moving on to what I would consider the crux of this build, the Y intersection decoder, where I'll be using the all-intimidating comparator. Let's go. For this next part, the Y intersection, I'm supposed to make another ticket sorting system / decoder that guides the minecarts to go in different directions. Conceptually, it's very similar to the one I made just now over there with the redstone lamps, but messing around, I just made an even simpler version of that with like 1/3 of the effort. So again, put a ticket inside, and then these lamps or the comparators will change. I am very disappointed in myself. The concept goes something like this. Let's start very simple. Let's presume that this sorting system is split into 2, the yellow and the blue. Each side is responsible for one direction, for now. If this comparator receives a signal from the behind greater than or less than a threshold, which is determined by this comparator and this lectern, this goes from on to off, switching to the direction of this rail. Right now we're going to the left. Let's put in a ticket to see where it goes. This is OR range, which is number 4 over here. And logically number 4 should go this way, because now the signal strength has changed. So you can see, yeah, it's gone to the right. So same thing, let's go back from yellow to blue. Number 1, which is Windswept Plateau over here. You can see that the rail now goes left and also straight forward, like that, 1 and 2. Now, this is just a very simple case. If you want to make this more complex, you can layer the number of directions. Right now, 4, 5, and 6 go to the right, 1 and 2 go this way. But you can see for number 3, there's an extra torch over here that influences the direction of this rail. So let's try that out. Number 3 is Ancient Ruins, here. This, and then even though this rail stays going to the left, this rail is now being powered, so now it goes to the left again. So to summarize, we're basically separating one signal into multiple interpretations. Or you could just do everything in a straight line and that would make so much more sense. So imagine we want this minecart to go to the second rail, we just do this. And then, whoop-de-doo. Haha, and then maybe like onto like the 4th location, right? Do this again. It works just fine. Maybe some more testing is needed. Realistically, the intersection will look something like this. This is the first part of it anyways, the sorter. So this starts off with these branches going into the system. This first branch will lead back to the home terminal. You can see if I place a minecart onto this detector rail, this rail will change directions. This has to go first because all the other branches will lead into this intersection. These two branches are here because the minecarts always have to enter the intersection from the back, so these branches will funnel minecarts in from locations to the left or right. Right now they're hypothetical locations, just bear with me now. So as you go through into the system, the minecarts are diverged in parallel using this detector rail, and then very similar to the terminal back over here. We can also go give this terminal a test. So you put the location inside. I'll use a villager here because I realized from my testing that the minecart will go slower if there's no one inside. So like that. So the bends will not affect the minecarts from going left or right. So as you go here, the hopper will pick up the ticket and go into the sorting system. The minecarts will be stopped by these fence gates. The ticket will go into the sorting system and give an output from the back over here. And then the ticket will go back to the minecart with this hopper system, and then go into the minecart before it's sent off using the orange circuit. The villager has gone rogue. I don't know what's happening there, but you can see that this ore range, it's number 4 if you remember. This corresponds to number 4 over here. I realize I've yet to designate the home terminal location, so that's why for simplicity I have made a small stone arch over here. This location will henceforth be considered the Coral Quarries. We also have our first visitor. Mid. So far, I've connected up the railways to their respective locations with small indicating arches to show what the build may look like. I do want to mention that you don't actually have to connect up all these wires to an intersection, because the rails may naturally divert themselves towards a location. The green circuit over here connects up to these rails, these two over here, and these two underneath, underground to these few rails. So let's just try that out real quick. You can see that if I put a item into here, the Windsplit Plateau, the rails will naturally divert like this, but the orange circuit shows what's not connected. If I try that out real quick again, even though this isn't connected to anything, so these rails are not powered, this rail, because of this comparator, is it's naturally powered, so it's not really intentional. You don't have to do another line. So you can see that this again diverts towards this way. Same goes for the one at the very end, which goes back to the home terminal. Over here, Coral Quarries. Now nothing is powered. All these rails will naturally divert themselves back over like that. The final thing I want to do is to build an example for the return route, so connecting up to these two branches over here. To save resources, we're going to use a single track for all locations, so we do have to manipulate the rails a bit. You know that depending on the direction the minecart is heading in, it will be influenced by the rail orientation at the intersection. If the minecart is going in this direction, it's not affected, but if it's going in this direction, it's affected because of the curve of this rail. So at the very end of every track, at the location, there will be a simple forked intersection like this, but you do have to manually change the ticket because it's not as complex as the terminal over there. So if we go back and return, we'll follow the rail, like this, it turns, and then you can see over here that we're combining multiple railways for one return route. So this detector rail is only accessible on return. If we try and power this, this will flip this rail so we can go back like this into the Y intersection. The showcase is at the end of this clip, by the way. I finished the build for the location, and I think that's it. Thank you for sticking around to the very end. I do appreciate it. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.